Hello, this is Trish Gallagher, co-chair of the Abington Township Shade Tree Commission, and I'd like to present our 2023 annual report that reports on our progress and milestones during 2023 and the early part of 2024. I'd like to start by reminding you of the Shade Tree Commission mission, which is to preserve and enhance Abington's urban forest and the essential ecosystem services that trees uniquely provide. Let me define what ecosystem services are. They are the environmental, economic, and social benefits that we receive from trees, other vegetation, and water within an urban area. So our green environment is a dynamic infrastructure that provides us with all of these benefits. And I'd also like to invite everyone listening to join us to protect and grow our urban forests. The STC comprises appointed members and associate members. The members appointed by the Board of Commissioners are Joe Asensi, myself, John Kennedy, who also serves as co-chair, and Anna Nicolaides, and we currently have an open seat, and we will be making recommendations within the next month or so for a person to replace the commissioner who vacated the seat. We also have associate members who participate with organizing and running volunteer events, and we have several dedicated associate members, and we also have a wide pool of volunteers from within the community. Today's agenda is to talk about our 23 to 24 progress, to renew our urgent call to action to protect and grow our urban forest, and to lay out our priorities for the upcoming year. And I'll go through each of these in detail. I want to start with some of our basic measures. So we are a Tree City USA, and we renewed our certification for the 16th year this past year. And for several years, we have received a Tree City Growth Award, which recognizes high levels of tree care and community engagement to build sustainable long-term community forestry programs. So we're proud to be a Tree City and to have received the Growth Award for multiple years. We also have strong volunteer engagement. So for the 2023 reporting year for Tree City USA certification, we logged 1,740 hours of community service, and this was at many events, including our free tree giveaways, tree planting and tending events, and various stewardship of natural areas and parks. Our funding comes primarily from the township operational budget, and with some additional funding from various grants. So this year, as I'll discuss in a moment, our budget increased to $110,000, and this budget is dedicated to tree planting, preservation, the free tree giveaways, and this year we included funding for a consulting arborist and for some native plant and tree demonstration gardens. We received 2 grants for the free tree giveaways, one in 2023 and one in 2024. Both are from TC Energy in the amounts of $15,800 and $12,200. We also have 1 grant in progress. This is a major grant from the Department of Conservation and Natural Resources. This is a grant for the Phase 2 restoration at Ardsley Wildlife Sanctuary. The funding from DCNR is $230,000, and the township is required to provide a $68,000 cash match. And when this project went out to bid, the estimates came in over the available funding. So the township applied for the Montco 2040 implementation grant to provide the additional funding to complete this project. And the township was just notified in June that it will receive the grant. So the money has not come in yet, but we will receive it, and that will provide additional funding to complete this restoration. So the Shade Tree Commission, not including the newest grant, has an 11-year total grant funding of $335,000. With respect to our budget, where does it go? So our 2023 funding was $35,000. 25,000 of that was used to provide 700 free trees to Abington Township residents, and that included some tree protection, so to protect the trunk or protect it from deer browsing. We also had a budget for implementing the master tree plan and educating people. And then we have a standard fund for other tree plantings of about $6,000. That amount increased to $110,000 in 2024. So some of these numbers were inflation adjusted. So the tree giveaway for 2024 cost more due to inflation, but we have these two additional categories. One is for demonstration gardens, and this is a joint project with the Environmental Advisory Council. And the idea behind the demonstration gardens is there are multiple benefits to this. First, we want to convert some turf grass in existing parks or natural areas into gardens that show how the public can do the same on their property to provide shade trees and native plants down below. And ultimately, this will reduce the amount of maintenance required from the township to mow these areas, and it will provide environmental and aesthetic benefits to our open spaces. Additionally, this year we requested funding for a consulting arborist. So unlike some of the other municipalities in the area, Abington has neither a certified arborist nor someone on staff with tree expertise. And to effectively care for our mature shade trees requires special training and expertise. So by hiring a consulting arborist, we'll provide valuable services to the township to be able to manage shade trees on public land, to do risk assessments of potentially hazardous trees, and for Parks and Rec to have someone they can turn to for help with pruning and tending trees that we don't have in-house skills to provide. This project is out for bid right now. There's an RFP out for bid, and we will have recommendations for the Board of Commissioners by August to select an arborist. Moving on, we continue to act in planning and advisory roles. In terms of planning, our Master Tree Action Plan was completed in 2023, and it was adopted by the Board of Commissioners in June of 2023. And as I'll talk about in a few minutes, it's now important to establish a steering committee and implementation plan to actually see the tree plan through the next 10-year phase. We also, in the master tree plan, included a draft tree preservation, protection, and replacement ordinance that is currently being considered by township staff. Under the advisory category, we routinely provide field support to the township staff in matters concerning trees, and we help with oversight of forest restoration and tree planting projects. Also, in partnership with township staff and the EAC, we review and make recommendations for planting plans for land development applications. So I'd like to move on and talk about our free tree giveaway program. So as is discussed in our urban tree canopy assessment, in the past 2 decades, Abington has lost approximately 1 in 8 trees, primarily due to increases in turf and impervious surfaces. And what we're finding is that storms grow increasingly intense, and because we have aging trees, our canopy loss is expected to accelerate. Also, our township is primarily residential, so 72% of the land area is residential. So it's important for us to regrow our tree canopy, and the most effective way to do that is to do it on residential properties. So the township has provided funding, as I mentioned, and we've received some grants to provide free trees to Abington Township residents. And as these giveaways have shown, there's a lot of demand from the residents. So when we make free trees available to them, people will take them and plant them. So this is a great strategy for increasing tree cover and stemming the canopy loss on private property. In addition to giving trees to residents, the STC teaches residents how to plant trees. We educate them about best practices to care for the trees, and we educate about the benefits of trees. So these events meet multiple goals within the master tree plan, including increasing tree canopy on residential properties, educating the public, and increasing community involvement in protecting our urban forest. This slide shows how many trees we've given away in the last 3 years, and the white trees shown down at the bottom represent the 300 trees that we will give away during our fall tree giveaway. We also do a lot of outreach and stewardship, so we've had numerous events at various wildlife sanctuaries and parks throughout the township. We have a lot of partnerships with local and regional organizations. I've already described our tree giveaway, and we have a lot of volunteer participation, including students from the Abington School District, including the Environmental Science Club, but other students as well. We have Boy Scouts who volunteer and other community members. We're very thrilled to have so much support from our community to help further the Shade Tree Commission mission. At this point, I want to renew the call to action to protect and grow our urban forest. So I've already mentioned that we've lost a lot of tree canopy in the last 2 decades, and our tree canopy is generally in decline. So we've lost over 420 acres of tree canopy, and that equates to about 1 in 8 trees. And if you drive around the neighborhood and the township, every day you will see more and more mature trees being removed. Another key point is that our tree canopy is inequitably distributed. So we have very few trees in some wards and as many as 7 trees in other wards. So we're working to more equitably distribute tree cover throughout our township. And the reason why it matters is because trees are a vital part of our infrastructure, and they provide the ecosystem services I mentioned earlier. They help reduce stormwater runoff, they help reduce flooding, they improve water quality, they cool neighborhoods, they reduce the urban heat island effect, they save energy. The list goes on and on. One of the most visible benefits of trees is that they make our township desirable. It's a beautiful place to live, in large part because we have so many trees. And you'll notice that the property values of neighborhoods that have more trees are higher than comparable properties that have no tree cover. I'd like to invite you again to visit our website and read a more detailed analysis of our urban tree canopy assessment. This talks in depth about the tree canopy loss over the past 2 decades and includes a lot of detailed information on the benefits of trees. Moving on to our priorities for the upcoming year or the ongoing year, with regard to the Master Tree Action Plan or the MTAP, I want to just briefly describe the structure of the plan and what it encompasses. So if you look at the figure on the right, the base of the Master Tree Plan is providing the structure and resources that we need to maintain our urban forest. And then the canopy of this tree shows that we have to establish canopy targets. So how much tree cover do we want to aspire to achieve in our township? And what are the codes and permits and best practices we need to help enable those canopy targets? And then we need to consider parks and trees and natural areas in different contexts. So we have park trees, we have private trees, we have trees in the built environment, and we have trees and the relation between trees and stormwater. So these ideas are all encompassed in this master tree plan, which will help us protect our urban forest and those vital ecosystem services we rely on. But it's only going to do that if we implement it. It's not going to do us any good if we take it and set it on a shelf. So one of the next key steps is to establish a steering committee to implement the master tree plan. And we envision that this would be the Parks Director and include representatives from the Shade Tree Commission, the EAC, and staff, whoever is necessary to help guide the enacting of this plan. We also need to formally adopt recommendations for tree preservation, protection, and replacement. So this is the proposed ordinance, and I'll talk about that more in a minute. Before I move on, I just want to mention that many of the priorities in the master tree plan dovetail with the recent Parks, Open Space, and Recreation Plan that was adopted by the commissioners last year. So why is it important to protect our trees? I've already told you our canopy is vanishing at an alarming rate, and our current tree preservation, protection, and replacement guidelines are extremely limited and outdated. And frankly, we are behind our peer communities with regard to tree protections. And it's important that we catch up and maintain a desirable township in which to live. So these recommendations will help protect and grow our urban forest for future land development, for residential development, and streamline review of development plans. Steps for implementing the master tree plan are many, but there are some key steps that we think are most important to implement first. So first, as I've already said, we need to establish and support a steering committee that's responsible for implementing the master tree plan. We need to adopt the ordinance for tree preservation, protection, and replacement. We also need to develop a master plan for invasive species management. So our budget request for the next fiscal year will include a line item to develop a master plan for this. And once we have a master plan, we can then apply to the Department of Conservation and Natural Resources to get implementation grants to start working to remove invasive plants and pests and replant those areas with plants that are appropriate for our region. We also need to increase involvement of planning, engineering, and construction services in preserving, protecting, and replacing trees, especially when we have large infrastructure projects that involve large tree losses. It's really important that we as a township put our money where our mouth is and replant those trees. We also need to continue collaboration with the Environmental Advisory Committee to streamline land development reviews and recommendations. Another of our priorities has been and continues to be homeowner and resident engagement. So we have been working to educate and engage residents. The tree giveaway is a great way to do this. You may have also noticed as you're driving around town, there are plant tree signs and this free tree provided by Abington Shade Tree Commission. This is a targeted outreach to educate and engage residents in preserving our urban forest and to aid in stewardship of trees. We are also looking to increase our volunteer base. So there's very extensive talent within our township, and we would like to tap into whatever your skills are, whatever you would like to do to help trees, whether it's indoors or outdoors. We welcome you to join us. So please reach out to our email address at stc@abingtonpa.gov and volunteer with us. We would love to welcome you. We also work to find grants that are appropriate for the township to apply for. And we do our best to assist the township with grant applications to better our township. In summary, with collaboration with the township staff and volunteers, we have made significant progress in stewarding and growing our urban forest. In 2023, we planted 1,044 trees. We pruned 212 trees, and this statistic seems a little bit anomalous. We removed 9 trees in public properties by contract through the township. So many, many more trees were removed, but on the whole, we have made progress in terms of replanting our urban forest. And I'll just renew my request. We're actively seeking volunteers to join us, so please come help us preserve our urban forest. Thanks for your attention. And we also thank you for your continued support in our efforts to protect and preserve our canopy. Feel free to reach out to us at stc@abingtonpa.gov or visit our website, which is listed here. It's abingtonpa.gov/STC. Thanks very much.